What's up, Big Ten fans? Michael Dugan here from internsbig10.com. We got our Week 8 predictions. Are we already in Week 8? Yeah, Week 8 predictions right here. It's getting in the thick of things. We're in the dead center of the Big Ten season. We got some good games this weekend, and we got some not-so-good games this weekend. Starting off at noon, we've got Iowa traveling to Ryan Field in Evanston. Northwestern is the 1.5-point underdog in this one. Like Charlie and I discussed in the podcast, we're kind of done predicting what's going to happen with Northwestern because at this point we don't know. You look at the entire season, their offensive line is bad. They can't get Justin Jackson going, and they can't stop the run. They can't stop a nosebleed defensively. And what happens in Maryland against a pretty respectable and pretty damn good rush offense? Well, they shut them down. The offensive line opens up holes left and right, and Justin Jackson runs amok, and they blow them out. So I don't know. I think that, in the past, Northwestern has kind of found their groove, and they've ridden that out for a couple of weeks. So I think they ride it out this week. I don't think Iowa's too special. They've got good players, but I don't think they're that great of a team. I got Northwestern winning this one. It's going to be close. It'll for sure be less than a touchdown, but I think Northwestern pulls this one out. Maryland at Wisconsin. Wisconsin 24-point favorites. Wisconsin's going to win this one. Maryland's just too injury depleted. They're on their third or fourth quarterback. You're just not going to go into Camp Randall and win with the injuries that they have. I'm sorry, DJ. Super Bowl Saturday last weekend was Rutgers, Illinois. This weekend we get Purdue and Rutgers. Purdue 9.5-point favorite. It's in Piscataway. I just don't think. First of all, Purdue has slowed down a little bit since the beginning of the season. My hype on Purdue and my expectations for Purdue have been lowered a little bit since then. I thought that they were going to be very good. I still think that they have a good shot at going bowling this year. But they've slowed down since then, 1-2 in the Big Ten. Granted, they've played some pretty good teams, but their two losses coming to Michigan and Wisconsin. So I got Purdue winning this one. I think they win by double digits. Why they're only single-digit favorites, I'm not sure. I don't think Rutgers is good at all, despite them beating Illinois. I think Illinois is really that bad. But I got Purdue winning this one. Indiana and Michigan State. Michigan State only the 7-point favorite, just by a touchdown. Indiana won this game last year in overtime, but that was a worse Michigan State team, and that was, honestly, I think a better Indiana team, offensively speaking, at least. Michigan State, to me, is a less complicated, less talented Michigan team, and that bodes well for Indiana. If you want to look at what happened last week, Indiana probably, you could argue they should have won that game in regulation, a couple of missed calls, but Michigan State, they've got a good front seven and they've got a solid defense, but schematically they're not going to confuse you quite like Michigan can. Michigan can show blitz and only rush 4. Michigan can show your standard dime package and then rush 7. So they line up the same every time, and they're so complicated to read defensively. That's why it was so tough for Peyton Ramsey to get going. He's got a little bit of an easier task schematically and X's and O's wise this week against Michigan State, but he's on the road, doesn't have the home crowd to back him up. So I've got Michigan State winning this one by probably 6 or 7 points. I think that spread is about right. I think Michigan State's starting to get their groove. And Peyton Ramsey, Indiana's freshman quarterback, is he's still young. He's still got things to figure out. So give me Michigan State by 6 in this one. But that I think is going to be a good game. It has been a pretty good game in years past. Illinois at Minnesota. Minnesota's starting to click a little bit. I think they started to find their groove again last week in the fourth quarter against Michigan State. Could have pulled the upset. Came really close after what was a blowout for a long time, but they couldn't. They looked pretty good in the beginning of the season. Week 1 was pretty rough. Then the next couple weeks I was like, okay, they're turning it around. I think they could really find their groove here. But here we are, they're 3-3. But they're in the Big Ten West, so they'll find ways to pick up some wins and maybe go bowling again. I think this is a win for sure. They're almost 2 touchdown favorites at home against Illinois. They should win this one, no problem. And then the night game. Michigan travels to Happy Valley to play Penn State. This is going to be ugly. Yes, this is going to be ugly. Michigan could not really move the ball against Indiana, through the air at least. Their rushing attack was pretty impressive, but their offense is just so bad. And against the defense like Penn State, with linebackers like Jason Kabinda, Marcus Allen, this Penn State defense is one of the more underappreciated and disrespected units, I think, in the country, because all the attention goes to Saquon Barkley and Trace McSorley. Now, are they going to have fits against that Michigan front seven? Certainly. But Peyton Ramsey, the freshman quarterback for Indiana, moved the ball pretty well against Michigan. Brian Lewerke moved it well enough against Michigan. I don't think Michigan's that good at all, especially without Wilton Spate. I don't know what Jim Harbaugh's doing not playing one of his freshmen, to be honest with you, because there's no point in playing John O'Corn if Wilton Spate can't go. He's a senior, so what? He's not going to be anywhere next year for Michigan. So I think his production level is poor. I don't think he's a good quarterback at all. I think he's one of the worst the Big Ten has to offer. And Trace McSorley is one of the I think could be a top 2, maybe even the best quarterback in the Big Ten. And Saquon Barkley is obviously the best running back the Big Ten has to offer. So I think Penn State, backed by 100,000 plus in their home stadium, whiteout, against Michigan. This Michigan team, I think, is remarkably overrated. And after this season, Jim Harbaugh's his seat's going to be heating up a little bit. Not necessarily that he should be fired, but those expectations are going to rise. So I've got Penn State. They're favored by 9.5. Give me Penn State with the points. I think they covered that. I think this game is going to be heavily in favor of Penn State, and I tend to jinx things often, so I think that saying that, may come back to haunt me, but I'm pretty confident in this one. I think Penn State is, on paper, just a much better team than Michigan. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. This was a long one. Thank you for sticking with me. We'll catch you on the podcast next week.